Anyone who's played Final Fantasy Tactics will likely have some feelings about this image. You know what happens here, and it probably stirs up some emotions. I want to talk about what this game does to make that happen. Let's get into it.
Bloop boop boo. Bloop doop doo. Bloop doop da.
Hi, I'm Michael. Let's get started with my spoiler-free review of Final Fantasy Tactics. Final Fantasy Tactics is a tactical role-playing game developed by Square and also published by Square in 1997. It was directed by Yasumi Matsuno, who had previously worked on Ogre Battle and Tactics Ogre with Quest. This game was produced by Hironobu Sakaguchi, who had enticed Matsuno to leave Quest and join Square, partially because of the brilliance of Tactics Ogre in particular. At Square, he worked with Hiroyuki Ito as the designer of Final Fantasy Tactics, but Matsuno also got to work again with Hiroshi Minagawa and Akihiko Yoshida, who had worked as artists on the previous Ogre games, and with composers Hitoshi Sakimoto and Masaharu Iwata, also from the previous Ogre games. Coincidentally, if you want to hear my thoughts about Ogre Battle and Tactics Ogre, check out my video reviews of those games. They're linked in the description. I almost hate starting with story because that's where most of the genius of this game lies. Almost everything about the story is near perfect, aside from how the story toward the very end of the game moves slightly away from the political drama, and the political drama is the most interesting part to me. It's still connected to the political drama at the end of the game though, so I wouldn't even say it's not good. I'd just say I'm less invested than I am with the more directly political stuff. There's also some really great character level drama in this game. Friends and families are pitted against each other. Some reconcile, some don't. Some relationships end with both parties just never seeing each other again. Others end with bloodshed. Here's what I love about a story that focuses more on political and personal drama than it does with killing gods or other world-ending threats. It just feels more real. Sure, there's plenty of magic and monsters and demons in Final Fantasy Tactics, but it's very easy to take those away and see villains who behave very much like villains do in the real world. And the heroes here operate like they do in the real world too. They work together to build the world that they want to see. They put aside whatever differences they may have to achieve a common goal of supporting each other and supporting those most vulnerable. This is the way that a corrupt person in power is brought down. One thing that the game does particularly well is starting in medias res. We start seeing an event that reinvigorates the hero of the game to rejoin the conflict that has been going on. He eventually assembles more and more people around him until he has the power needed to take on the villains of the world. Starting the game in medias res gets the action going right away and adds a bit of confusion to the world. Who was that person? And why do we even care about them? The game then goes back to the beginning of our involvement in the conflict and fills in the gaps. It's a great, exciting way to start a game that leaves us with questions that we want to have answered. I also wanted to specifically bring up the writing of this game. I played the original PlayStation version from 1997. I haven't played the War of the Lions remake from 2007 because I don't have a PSP, but I've seen some of the scenes, and I heard Resonant Arc talk about it extensively in their State of the Arc podcast. I love the quasi-Shakespearean King James Bible-ish writing in that version, but I can see how some might not. There are a ton of characters in Final Fantasy Tactics. Several of them don't really neatly stay on the side of hero, villain, or NPC, but will instead pretty freely flow between those categories. Because of that, I don't really want to talk about many characters at all. I want to focus on just Ramza, Delita, and Ovelia, as they are important for a large part of the game. There are many more excellent characters in this game, but to talk about them too much would require too many spoilers. Just know that if you play this game, you're likely to have your own favorites, and you're likely to have characters that you will despise, like I do. Ramza is the hero of the game, he's the point of view character of the game. I think he has some of the hardest decisions to make in any Final Fantasy game, but he always chooses what's right. I think something about this world feeling more grounded and real makes Ramza boldly standing up to some powerful people seem even more brave somehow. Ramza goes through an interesting character journey throughout the game. He is definitely not the same person at the end of the game that he is at the beginning. He's seen the true horrors that humans are capable of, and he has come out a changed person. Character growth is one of the absolutely necessary things for a well-written character. Delita sees many of the same horrors that Ramza sees and is similarly changed by them. It's interesting how differently he reacts to them, though. I can't get into these reactions without getting into some major spoilers, but these differences are completely understandable given the different life circumstances between Ramza and Delita. I like how the game does not shy away from pointing out these differences and contrast these two characters against some others who are in similar situations. I don't want to pass any judgment on Delita, but I do want to say that he's fascinating. Ovelia is a character that a good deal of the game hinges upon, even though she has relatively little agency herself. The game recognizes this lack of agency, though, and points out this struggle. We get to feel how Ovelia is trapped in her situation, and how the whims of the powerful people around her can change her standing in an instant. Ovelia hides a lot of confusion and rage within her, and the writing for her character is really quite good. Hey, so are you enjoying this review? Let me know in the comments. Also, please let me know if you disagree with any of my thoughts. If you word your thoughts respectfully, I'll be glad to chat with you about them. Please give this video a like if you like it, or please subscribe if you want to see my friends and me talk about media, especially video games and music. If you're only into the video game videos, check out our playlists tab and have a look at the video games playlist. Anyway, back to the video. If you've seen my game reviews before, you know that I often have the least to say about graphics. But I think that now that most RPGs are being made on the PlayStation in the mid to late 90s, there's more to talk about when it comes to graphics. The graphical leap from the 4th generation consoles, SNES and Genesis for example, to the 5th generation like PlayStation and 64 and so on, can seem huge at times, less so at other times. For instance, nothing on the SNES looks anything like Final Fantasy VII, a Square game that closely preceded Final Fantasy Tactics. Tactics, on the other hand, looks more similar to some SNES games like Ogre Battle and Tactics Ogre, for example. And you know what? I think Final Fantasy Tactics looks better than Final Fantasy VII. I think graphics almost always look better the less realistic they're trying to be. The simpler, cuter style of Tactics makes each graphical choice look like an intentional choice instead of a technical limitation. That being said, Tactics graphics aren't my favorite either. As I didn't play the War of the Lions version of this game, I didn't see any of the animated cutscenes. For those of you who have access to this version of the game, I'd recommend it for that purpose. They look really cool. The vast majority of scenes in my version of the game take place in-engine, so using the same character models that are used in battle. There are a few fully 3D modeled pre-rendered cutscenes in the game, but their style is fairly close to the in-game graphics, so they fit in pretty seamlessly. The design of this game is good, but not great. I think my issue with its design is the same reason that I think the story and the characters are so good. It feels more real and less fantastical for most of the game. For that reason, the character designs and world design have to feel so much more real and grounded to match that story. That's not to say that the character designs are completely without style. I like how the faces are drawn, and the doll-like nature of these character designs lends an almost unsettling aura to the battles that take place within the game. Also, the monsters are really excellent. Final Fantasy series mainstays like bombs and chocobos fit really well into this design style. Some of the more fantastical creatures that you face, too, look appropriately horrifying. As you've heard me say on this channel all the time, I'm a composer, so if I let myself, I will often talk longest about the music in a game. Also included in sound, though, is the sound effects and voice acting where applicable. There's no voice acting in the version of the game that I played, but there is some in the War of the Lions version, I think. As I haven't played that version, I can't really speak to it. Also, the sound effects don't really stick out to me as being either especially good or especially bad. The music, though, is significant. It's fine. It's very effective scene setting, and it feels appropriate for the setting of this game. It's also good as Gebrauchsmusik, a German term for music that is written for some purpose, not as music to be listened to and enjoyed on its own. I'm not saying that you can't or shouldn't enjoy the music of Tactics on its own, I just don't very much enjoy it outside of the context of the game myself. My main issue is that the melody doesn't seem to be the main focus of composers Hitoshi Sakimoto and Masaharu Iwata. Again, I think what they did was very good. It's just not exactly to my taste. Gameplay is another tricky spot for me. I am the type of gamer who really likes to fiddle around in menus to make things perfect, but Final Fantasy Tactics is a bit extreme, even for me. You can spend so much time building your characters to be exactly how you want them to be. The detail you can get in each character is really astounding. But truthfully, I think the battles get a little overwhelming by the end of the game, and I kind of get tired of the battles by the end as well. This is not uncommon for me. I get tired of the battles in most games by the end, especially when some battles can take 45 minutes to complete. But the battles are really the only way you interact with a game outside of menus. There's no exploration to break it up, for example. Luckily, not much grinding is necessary in the game. The learning curve is moderately steep, and the difficulty is fairly high, but I have persevered and beaten the game before. Not for this playthrough though, as I had some sort of weird malfunction, and the memory card I was using deleted itself. But luckily, I found a good long play on YouTube and watched the full game through to remind myself of the entire story. The one thing that is actually a problem in the gameplay category, the camera. It is such a pain to get the camera exactly where you want it to be on the map of the game, especially when there are trees in the way, for example. It's pretty frustrating. According to Metacritic, which aggregates reviews, critics have given Final Fantasy Tactics an aggregate score of 83 out of 100. I give this game a little higher of a rating than that, 88% or B+. Here's where Final Fantasy Tactics fits in with the game scores around it on our channel. Now for the big question, should you play Final Fantasy Tactics? I think it's a fantastic game worthy of playing, but if you don't enjoy complex stories, or long, slow battles, or spending time in menus, then this game might not be for you. But please give it a try if you like hard-hitting stories that are a little too familiar for us in 2025. Or if you like righteous anger, you'll probably feel some of that too. Anyway, thanks so much for watching my review. Up here is another video that YouTube thinks you might like, so check that out. Down here is a playlist of other video game related videos. I hope you check out some more of those too. Maintain your groovy selves.